Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Forgiven AF podcast. You guys know we use this as marketing material for our nonprofit, Second Chance Mentors, which this episode today, for me, this is something that's really special for me. This is something I've been talking about wanting to do for a long time, and I never really pushed it all the way through. And as we get farther into the podcast, you'll kind of see the dynamics between Robert Walsh and I. But I want to start off with saying, coming straight out of prison, right? When I first got out of prison, we opened this gym, and I was still trying to find my way, right, of who I was outside of being a criminal, basically, you know, without selling drugs. And now I'm out here, and you were the first person that you came to me. I remember the day you were working out, and you said, "Hey man, why don't you come share your testimony with me at Turning Point, to come talk to those boys?"
Yeah.
And I want you to know, and literally, I have to say this, and this is not extra, this is not BS. I have to say this without crying, because you were the first person that spoke into me something other than just, oh, you're out of prison as an inmate. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
By making me feel wow, you think that my story is worth going to tell these kids? That completely changed the trajectory of what I saw happening in my life and who I wanted to be. And so thank you for that. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I was bro, that's and then you took me to the school. I was able to share my testimony with the school. You let us come be part of NEX, which is your program that we're going to talk all about. And I don't know, man. I don't even know how to I just want to make sure that it's it's understood how much that you changed the trajectory of who I wanted to become and who I've become. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Robert Walsh is. Are you still a homicide detective?
No,
you're not. You're off of that now.
Anymore. I sleep at night now.
So you actually got a life now.
Yes.
So, but you're still on the force, right? Arlington Police Department.
Yes. 18 years today.
Yeah, congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome. Is it really on the
Today.
day? How cool is that? Man, and it's so crazy. I'm gonna have you go into who you are and tell your story, right?
Yeah.
But this podcast now goes into the prisons, right? It's also, regularly, it's on everything, iTunes, Spotify, but it goes into the prisons now. And me in my whole former life, until I decided to put drugs down and put crime down, even if the crime was just drugs involved, I was never really a criminal outside of just selling and using drugs, which is obviously a criminal. But it was always us versus them. I'm talking since the first time I started smoking weed, and we're worried about there being police sitting outside the woods as we're walking out the woods. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's this mentality between kids and police, and it just kind of grows up as long as there's any sort of criminal activity going on still. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So
definitely.
So you were the first person that changed that whole mindset for me of it's not that anymore. I can change from that. You know what I mean? And since then, I've just been super. Anytime I have an opportunity to speak with a police officer, I'm man, thank you so much for what y'all do. I wouldn't be here living this amazing life that I have now, being able to help people and being able to give back, if it wasn't for you guys doing your job. So I guess that's really all I'm trying to say is
hey,
thank
man,
you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That means a lot. It definitely does.
I hope, and it's coming from the heart. So Robert Walsh, can you kind of tell our listeners where you're from, what your upbringing was like how you kind of went this direction?
Man. Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me. I know we talked about doing this for a while, and definitely, I didn't really create the platform for you. I saw something in you and being a man and understanding that we all have different levels in life, and you had an experience that I could never, hopefully never had, you know. And so I saw something and I felt like the kids needed to hear it. So I definitely appreciate you and your wife for helping me when I created NEX. You guys were a couple of my first board members, so it definitely means a lot for us. And I know we've been trying to get this together, so definitely. But yeah, 18 years law enforcement today. But before that, my story is no different. From anyone else. That living an unbalanced lifestyle. I was born in Chicago. My dad's from Chicago. My mom's from New Orleans, so
you got the craziest blend, right?
The craziest,
two toughest cities in the United States.
Yeah, but the good thing about it is I had both parents. I had both parents. My dad struggled from substance abuse, but I had a mom who stayed on her knees, and they are the reasons why I'm here today, because what people see here in Texas is not what people in New Orleans and in Chicago see. And so I always wanted to be a cop. I wanted to do something slightly different from what I saw growing up. My family's dope dealers, killers, prostitutes, and things like that. And I always wanted to do something different, just kind of break that generational curse. And so in the 5th grade, I knew that I was going to be a cop.
Oh, that's cool. See, I had no idea. I thought it was going to be something that came like in college or after college. Just assume.
No. My mom's a servant, and my daddy's an OG, he was a dope dealer and everything. And so again, I just wanted to do something different. And what caused that, I don't know. It's the impression I had with one officer. And it sounds so corny, man. But the DARE program, that officer, just knowing him, I saw him, man, probably about 12 years later after I graduated from undergraduate. He knew my name.
Really?
Yeah, just walk up to me and say, "Robert, how you doing? You look healthy." And
that just gave me chills. That's cool.
Yeah, I knew I was on the right path.
Yeah.
So, graduating high school again, I was the first generation graduate. My parents had never graduated, and graduating, not knowing what I was going to do next, I literally started pushing shopping carts at Walmart. And
I respect that.
I was happy just to have a paycheck to buy a TV. And I was an athlete growing up. I always say I was raised by the community because my friends' parents gave me rides to and from. My dad was a truck driver, and honestly, sometimes he came home, sometimes he didn't.
Yeah.
But I always had a mom, but mom was working. Had an older brother, he was hustling. I had cousins, they were hustling. And so the community raised me, coaches and things like that, coming home, giving me rides home, and friends, parents giving me rides home, so I always knew that I wanted to give back, and working at Walmart was just one of those things where I was fortunate enough to graduate. And I tell people today that high school diploma was the most important thing I have, and again, I've earned 2 degrees. I've earned a bachelor's and a master's degree, but that high school diploma was the most and still is the most important piece of or certificate or completion I have today.
Man, that's deep too, especially with what you do and try to get these kids through. Man, that's really cool.
And so, I went to Southern University, man, HBCUs, Jaguars, and I met some great people like Dr. Fobbs, Jeff.
Yeah.
And again, just that peer support, man, I needed it because, again, my mom dropped me off, showing, man, gave me $20. We cleaned the bathroom in the dorm, told me she loved me. And I knew I couldn't go back to New Orleans, so there was nothing more to do but win.
Yeah, so you didn't really have a bunch of options.
I didn't have.
Yeah.
I didn't.
It was like, this has to work.
It has to work. Yeah. And I also knew that my younger siblings were looking up to me. At that time, my older brother, good dude, just like you, good guy, but hustling was his thing, and I had older cousins who were hustling. And for them, it was just, hey, man, don't do this.
They would try to push you away from it. That's what I was wondering.
Definitely. And being an athlete, it was one of those, they were, in the hood, I'm betting on you. I was fast back in the day. And they would bet in races. And when I won, they would give me $20, $40,
That's cool.
And that kept me out of the game, honestly. And I just didn't want to be that same statistic. I wanted to do something different with life. And thinking back now, everything and everyone I encountered helped me get there. So when I quote unquote made it, it was without a doubt. I started mentoring when I was in college, my second year in college.
So that's nothing that was new to you.
No.
So you've been,
No, definitely. Again, my mom is that servant leader, and so I definitely picked that up. My daddy hell, so, that side of me was the side I was trying to leave. So again, what you see in front of you is definitely not the guy from Chicago and New Orleans. Definitely.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So, so how long, when you started NEX, that was when NEX was just first starting. I didn't know that. I thought you kind of had it going for a little bit. So could you kind of explain what you do with NEX and what the NEX program is? Yeah.
So, NEX, the official name is NEX Foundation. I think when we started with NEX Foundation, we ran into a wall with some trademarking and things like that. So we do business as NEX Metropolitan.
That's right.
Again, I just wanted to give back, So I worked undercover in Arlington for 7 to 8 years, as a detective.
What's that like? Can we dig into that for a second?
You know what? It's a job. You know, I always treated people with respect, but I knew the game. I grew up in.
That's what I was just about to say. You would make the best undercover cop because this is nothing new to you. Like the people that you're around is something that you've experienced your whole life, so you know how to maneuver that.
Yeah,
you were probably good.
I was good at it, I'm not gonna lie, I was good at it. But everyone I arrested, you know, I handled them with respect because you know I thought about my family members and just my morals and values, you know, and arresting people like, you know, there was a gentleman got 99 years off of, man, I think it was a half ounce of crack. It's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, that's a long time for someone for nonviolent crime, but his criminal history played a history in that, you know, but
there's still some stuff with crack that needs to be changed if we're going to be fully honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you take cocaine and crack, which is the same drug, you just put baking soda and water in this one, and cocaine was mostly in the white area and crack was in the black area, but it's the same drug, but you'll get about 2 to 3 times the amount of time for crack.
Yeah.
Like there's something wrong there, right?
Yeah. And again, you know, I always say, you know, the laws are the laws, you know, and I'm comfortable with taking care of the things that I can control.
No, you know what? And I'm glad you said that because I talked to this pastor one time. You know, race always gets kind of funny, but it was a black pastor and he was saying, hey, look, Sean, like, I said exactly what I just said about the crack laws. Because that's something in prison that's really pushed. Like, this is wrong. You know what I mean? But this is what this pastor said to me, Sean. He goes, Sean, before any one of these young men started touching those drugs, you think that we didn't already know that the police are going to hit us harsher, or like, you know, that the laws are harsher against us? Like, we knew that before we started getting into selling drugs. So that shouldn't be an excuse.
Yeah, and as far as what happens, as far as punishments and things like that, you know, again, that's out of my hand. That's legislation, but I control what I can control, and you know, and treating people with respect was the biggest thing. And I always told the guys, hey man, I don't judge you for how you eat. This is how you feed your family, but you know, on the other's end, the right end of that spectrum is how I feed my family.
Yeah,
you know, and I just kind of I always knew I wanted to work dope. You know, and again, I was good at it, and then after I became a sergeant, I went back to the unit as a supervisor.
That's cool.
And that was a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, it was a little bit different, you know, because I was worried about my guys, making sure they got home at night, you know, and talking to their wives and getting to know them and promising them that this is just a job. You know, we're playing a role for a small period of time. And then I'll make sure that they snap back into who they are as a person and they don't actually fall into the street life.
Does that happen?
I've never had it happen.
Movies that you see movies and stuff where, you know, a guy goes undercover for a while and then can't get back out of that lifestyle.
Yeah, and again, maybe it does, you know, but unfortunately, I hadn't had anybody go rogue or anything like that, and so, but it was the best job in the department until I had kids, till my daughter came, and you know, you think about things a little bit different.
It changes a lot for sure.
Yep.
That's cool. So sorry, I went left on that whole conversation.
No
I just thought the undercover thing was pretty cool. I always thought that I would have, if I wouldn't have gone down the path that I went, that I think that would be a pretty cool career, you know. But cool from the outside is different than having to live it. You know what I mean? Because you got, obviously there's the dangers. Correct. So let's go back to NEX Metropolitan. So where did you get the idea to start it? Like, or what made you? What was that like?
Man, you know what? To be totally transparent. You know, I always loved mentoring in kids, and when I worked undercover, people did not understand what I did. I'm pretty private outside of work. You know, I believe work is work and your personal life is personal life. You have to separate, especially being a cop.
Yeah.
And I always mentored, and you really had to know me to know that. I started with big brother, big sister. So working undercover, you don't really interact with officers in uniform very much for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So I needed an outlet to channel, you know, that energy and for the mental and the wellness part of it. So I was always a mentor, big brother, big sister. And so when I went back to uniform, I created a program in one of the schools. Again, I wasn't trying to, I was just trying to help some kids. And the program did pretty well, won some awards in the state. And really, I got tired of people showing up just to take pictures. I got tired of people taking pictures, calling every kid underserved. And I was that kid. I grew up in the hood, and I wasn't at risk. You know, I wasn't an at-risk kid. I was an underserved kid.
Yeah.
But I wasn't at risk. And I got tired of people just showing up to take pictures.
Bro, that is so deep. And it's something I wanted to go into later, but I want to go into it right now before I forget it. So I sometimes feel I get this, like, I have to check myself all the time when it comes to second chance mentors about, like, am I doing this to make sure that I'm actually helping the kids I'm serving, or am I doing it for the picture and oh, you're so great, Sean, you're the man, you're such a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have to really check that in myself, because we have to be honest, it does feel good, right? Recognition does feel good. And if you're earning it and it's all like, and it's really there, then it's good. But dude, what you're saying about people showing up for the pictures, it's so true. You know what I mean?
And it's necessary. Don't get me wrong. It's a necessary evil, because resources, you know, you're doing something, you're more hands-on, and your resources, whether it's financial or in kind, they're not going to be there all the time. You're the boots on the ground doing the work. But when you only show up for that, it was just, and I wanted to do it my way. Yeah. You know, Sergeant Walsh can't, you know, say what he wants to say all the time.
That's good. That makes sense.
You know, and then outside of that, just, you know, being able to leave a legacy outside of the police department. Yeah. Yes, there's so much more to me than Sergeant Walsh, you know? And when I leave my job, I'm a firm believer that I rent the title of whatever rank I am when I leave, and then somebody else is going to fill that spot.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So basically, for anyone that doesn't know, because I haven't asked really the right question, but NEX Metropolitan is very similar, pretty much the same thing, and I straight up stole the program. Like I just stole his blueprint. Like let's be realistic, right? Like,
it works then.
Like I straight up stole. Like, I mean, literally, like I worked with him for a little bit. I was going to his events. I was watching him. He was going to the schools, watching how he's running stuff, and me being. When I say that, I can say that because it wasn't from like a place of like stealing it to go like try to like hurt y'all or whatsoever. It was you know what? I've never felt this type of purpose before. Like I've never felt, and this is something that, like you just said, I want to do this my way. Like I want to do it a little bit. Not everything you do is great, but I was like, you know what? I want to do it a little bit different, you know. And also like, everything I did, all my businesses, everything, we're at a Mansfield, and I was like, there's nothing in the Mansfield school district doing it. You're at Arlington. Yeah. I was like, you know, and maybe the way I went about it could have been a little bit better. Like, you know, maybe I could have sat down instead of just being like, hey, I'm gonna go. But anyways, I just want you to know that I fully recognize that I stole your program. You know what I mean? Like really.
And again, and that means a lot. But you know, it obviously works. You saw some things that you like, and we all get a blueprint from somewhere. You know, the goal is the same. The goal is to help these children, help these kids become young men, and productive men in the community. And however you decide to do it, you know, I'm happy to know that we had, you know, part of that blueprint. Yeah. And as we continue to go, and hopefully, you know, one day we can do some things together.
I know we still need to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be cool. What I want to do is that basketball tournament together. I want to get involved in. I know you guys do one up there. We would try to do a little 3v3 one down here and try to just like, and then whatever team won, we're going to buy them each a pair of Jordans or something. Yeah. But it's hard to get the traction of getting people there. You know what I mean? Like, it's sometimes it looks better in the pictures than it really is. And I'm just going to be honest. Yeah. It's hard. I would just be honest. What do you think? What's the biggest challenge? What's like the biggest thing you've had to overcome in running NEX?
You know, the business aspect of it, you know, the purpose of it will always be there. This is definitely a ministry for me. Yeah. You know, and my mom always said I would be in ministry, and I never understood it until I started, you know, NEX, and I understood what my purpose was. But the business aspect of it is not something I'm good at. So that was honestly where you and Christy came in. You know, I was like, man, they have a business. They obviously know what that looks like. You guys brought some diversity, some things I didn't know. And it's important for me to surround myself with people that have a purpose or a talent that I don't have.
That's good.
And so you guys understood that. And I'm still learning the business aspect of it, because the purpose and I hear it all the time. You know, we had a young lady that was PhD student helping us, you know, and she said, you understand the passion is there, but this is a business, you know, and so we're still learning the business aspect of it, like pouring into kids. I've been doing that for a long time. Yeah. And being able to relate to them that's easy, and then the second thing would be the mental health aspect of it. Working in the schools as a school resource sergeant, man, the school is different, and it now.
Yeah.
The things that they struggle with are things that in our day was, man, go pray about it.
Suck it up.
Yeah. And now it's real,
Yeah.
and so again, not understanding that. I have 2 board members who are clinical social workers, and they do a great job at that aspect of it, because those were the 2 things that I didn't know.
That is a tough one. One thing that's been really tough for me, and have you had this happen, is to learn how to not take something, like let's say there's a kid and I've been pouring into him, and then he goes off and just does something ridiculous, right? And then like at first I would be like, bro, how could you do that? Like we've been putting on, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if it hurt my feelings or made me feel like offended, but I had to realize like these kids, we didn't choose to work with the honor kids, the kids in honor, you know what I mean? Like the kids we're working with, 9 out of the 14 kids in our program are being raised by a single parent whose mom is busting her butt, probably working 2 or 3 jobs, like everything she can. I'm not ever downplaying that. And this kid has all this freedom, doesn't have, any sort of like male guidance or role models around, you know what I mean? So it's like, and that's what we're dealing with. Yeah. And that's a hard spot. So I used to get upset, like if a kid would get in trouble again, I'd be like, bro, we just got you out of BIC. What are you doing back here? Like how, you know what I mean? But it's just a learning curve.
When that kid makes it, that kid, you're really just planting a seed, and it's nothing different than anything else that you're trying to grow. You just got to keep watering it, keep pouring into it. And when that kid makes it, they'll remember that. Yeah. And that's the great thing about it, and we try not to turn any kid away, honestly. And you and I talk sometimes in the gym. Yeah. And it's, man, how do you keep the kids connected? They don't answer your messages or anything like that. And sometimes the parents aren't always responsible because they're working. Yeah. They've got other things on their plate. So it's just really being consistent, man. And I know how it just got to be consistent and keep pouring into them, because eventually it'll click. Yeah. And I sit and I pray about it, and it's just like, man, why are we doing this? Yeah. And then I get an answer. Something happens. Yeah.
And something I've realized too is sometimes, even though it might seem like a kid's not paying attention or not really involved or not taking it serious, we don't, just that kid knowing that he has us in his back pocket if something hits the fan, or if he really, you know what I mean? Because I've had that happen. A kid was not even responding, was not responsive in a lot of stuff, hadn't showed up to a couple meetings, and then all of a sudden, hey Sean, or hey Mr. Sean, can I talk to you? And it's like, bro, he hit me with this situation with his girlfriend, what's going on with his stepdad, you know what I mean? Like, so sometimes you might just have to just love on them and sit back and wait till they're ready to come forward with some stuff, Right. So I kind of had to realize that, like, I love people right away. Like, I meet someone right away and I'm like, man, this is my best friend. You know what I mean? That's just the way I am. I just give my heart to anybody right away. But some of these kids have been left by 3 or 4 guys, like already, like dad's gone, stepdad left. They don't know, you know what I mean? Yes. So they've already dealt with that. So when now here we show up, and they might want to go all in with us, but they're still scared of this guy's going to leave in a couple months and I'm going to be back to lonely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, correct.
So that's kind of
and that's one of the promises we make. I tell all the parents, we're not going to leave and not give up on that kid. Now, if he gives up on himself, then okay, he doesn't want that, Yeah. But we're always there for him. And our boys are 21, 23, and one of our favorite is Ashton.
Ashton, yeah.
And Ashton's doing well with himself now, and we understood where he was. He's homeless, and Ashton was a great kid, but he had some struggles, and now I'm so proud of him, and to see him pour back in and being a dad now himself.
I know, isn't that cool? Yeah. And I'm really proud of the way he handled even that whole situation. That he was special. I'll never forget the story you told me about Ashton. We won't put his last name out there, so it's not like we're talking about that you knew him because he was finishing high school, living on a park bench in Arlington, right? Yeah. Like basically like doing his homework and stuff at a park bench in Arlington. Like, and now he's got like his HVAC certification. He's a dad. He's taking care of his responsibilities. Yes. Like, I've always known he was special since we first met him. I think that kid has so much potential. It's cool to actually see. There's no way he'd be where he was at, say, if it wasn't for y'all. And I know you won't take that credit, but there's no way. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
correct.
Like, there's no way.
Good kids, and I just always hate that the kids that we do lose, because I tell people all the time, everything is not a success story.
Yeah.
When I was in homicide, there was a kid, and I just told this to my boys the other day. There was a kid, and he was tough, and we knew he was tough when we met him. And one of the mentors who, gang member, and he said, "Man, this kid is going to be tough." And everybody told us not to take him, but he had nowhere else to go. So there was a coach over at Sam Houston High School that called me. And he said, "I saw this kid walking across the field. He's not enrolled or anything like that. And when he just had a bag, a trash bag with his stuff in it. And after talking to him, there was some mental health issues, and there was a lack of trust for men and women. And one of the officers who helped us a lot, female, she remembered him from the school, and she kind of took him under her wing, and we guided him, and we knew he was sleeping in bandos, sleeping in those abandoned apartments and things like that. And so I got a call. It was a murder, and I knew he was either probably going to be involved somehow, or it was going to be him. And when I got there, I was fortunate that it wasn't him, but he was out there. And later on, we had a conversation, and I was like, "Hey, man, I know you know who did this, because that's the lifestyle he lives." And fortunate, he had to meet Sergeant Walsh on the other side of the table. Ultimately, I don't think he committed the murder. He was arrested from some unrelated charges on the offense. But yeah, like, it's tough. We don't win every battle.
It's true. One thing we talked about too at the gym the other day, and I've actually talked about it on the podcast too, is sometimes, not even sometimes, a lot of times I get these messages from moms like, little Johnny won't listen to me and his dad, and he's he's wilding out, and we don't know what to do. And like, it's in the beginning, just because I felt obligated, I would be like, okay, well, send him our way. I'll work with little Johnny, whatever. And then the kid would never respond, never show up, like zero effort into it, right?
Yeah.
And I started to realize that when I go to the schools and I meet the kids myself, and they choose to apply to be in the program, and then they tell their parents, hey, I want to be in this program, they're always committed because it was a decision that they made. Correct. Like, they wanted to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're in the action phase of their lives.
Yeah.
And we don't mentor little kids. So, and I tell all the parents, you may want this for your son, but he has to want it for himself.
So true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you're right. They understand it, they see it. And peer mentorship is so important too, to have those friends and that are doing something positive, or, if your homeboy said, man, this is pretty cool, you should join.
Yeah,
that works a lot.
That definitely works. They always ask, can I bring my friend so-and-so to come?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for real.
It may cost me an extra hamburger.
It's so worth it.
Hey,
I'll buy another ticket to the Rangers game.
Correct.
Whatever.
Just bring them.
No, and it's true. And you're right. 9 out of 10 times they're bought in now because they already have, you know what I mean? The friend's been hyping it up. They're excited to come.
Right.
Like, it's really cool. Do you ever have any sort of, like, in the beginning, especially like right now, right? Like, all the things that have been going on in the past few years with police officers, and as far as, like, that defund the police, all that ACAB, all that nonsense, right? Mm-hmm. Do you ever see, like, the young men in high school you're talking to have kind of like do you feel like they have like a resentment towards you for being a police officer? Do you have to overcome that, or do you see that?
Yeah, one of the first things I ask the parent is, how do they feel about police? Because if they don't like us, I don't tell them I'm a police officer right away. All of the officers that volunteer with us, you wouldn't know that they were police outside of uniform.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and if they don't want to pour in and they can't turn that off, and they don't see themselves as a man first, then they can't be involved. And there are officers that always, hey man, I want to come out and volunteer. And I'm like, really? Do you? Or do you want, you want to pad your resume, you want a picture, and and so if we feel that way, then we won't tell them. And then eventually I'll slide it in there and I'll say, hey man, tell me about how you feel about police. Oh man, I don't like 12, they this and that. I'm like, why? Man, I don't know. It's because of what they do. And I said, Mr. Fobbs? Yeah. Did I tell you he was a federal agent? What? Like, yeah. So, understand that you can't judge everybody.
Yeah.
Give it just like we're giving you a chance, give them a chance. And it's always been positive.
I love it. And I think
it's always been positive.
It can always help that bridge that divide of just us versus them mentality. Yeah. You know what I mean? That it's bad. Like, it's with kids for some reason. I mean, I know kids that are like straight A students, don't do nothing wrong, and they still are like 12. You know what I mean? Like still, I'm like, but where did you get that from? A rap? Man, you don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah, like
social media.
Like relax, dude. You get straight A's, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You go shake his hand, go knock on the car door. Like
social media
probably drive you around. But it's like an epidemic of like us versus them, and it's something that. So that's what's cool about your program is that's really helping to like alleviate that in real life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you're actually showing them. And I love the way you said, I didn't know that you did. I thought that that's how you met them as a police officer, but I love that because they get to know you as a person. They, you know, not like in a weird way, but they fall in love with you as who you are because it's easy to do. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm a police officer. And then it completely flips them upside down. They're like, oh, I can't say that I don't like police officers anymore.
Correct. And again, it's just the purpose of it is to make sure the kid understands that we're never going to bring anyone involved, whether it's a police officer or just a regular volunteer. We're never going to allow anybody to engage with our boys who don't embody what we're putting out there. If you don't embody the mission of engaging and empowering and educating kids, then you can't be a part of NEX.
That's good.
And I tell people also there are donors who wanted to provide money towards and I tell people all the time, if you donate to NEX, you're planting a seed in fertile soil. But if your seeds are faulty, we don't want your money.
That's good.
You know, I don't want your money just because, you know, although it's needed.
Yeah.
I don't want your money just to have your money. If you don't really care about what you're doing because you just want a tax write-off, we'll pass.
That's good. And that would be.
And that's hard to do.
I was about to say way easier said than done. That's
hard to do.
I believe you fully.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's hard to do, and people sometimes look at me like, "What?" But it's just true. And again, because this is a ministry for me, you know, and I'm again doing it my way, doing it our way. And again, obviously, I'm the face of NEX, but there's so many people that pour in and that really do so much more that behind the scenes that you don't see. Yeah. And they hate the camera. You know, I mean, I'm not a social media guy and I hate social media and all, but I understand that's necessary. But there's so many other people that pour in. And when we make a decision, it has to be one of those decisions that fits everybody.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's going on? Like, what do you guys have? What big has been going on in the past year or so? And what do you have coming up?
Well, you know, we always have our backpack hoodies and sneaker.
That's been a huge event. Yeah, you do that all over too. Don't you even go to New Orleans for that sometimes?
Yeah, it was an honor to go back to my high school, bring it there, and just, you know, for the purposes of for the viewers, you know, backpack hoodies and sneakers started just as an idea of school shooting in Arlington. Where at one of the high schools, I was a homicide sergeant at that time, and I had 4 boys at that school when the shooting happened. Honestly, the way it came out, we thought that, you know, there were fatalities, and so when I eventually went into the classroom to see the scene, it was a bunch of spray ground backpacks and all these different types of backpacks that kids love. Obviously, you walked in with a backpack. I have a backpack, and we know the Jordan brand, you know, and mainly the Jordan brand, and how our kids really enjoy it. And hoodies, you know, I'm a hoodie guy, and so we really wanted to incorporate backpack hoodies and sneakers because it really consumes our kids. And just because a kid is wearing a backpack and a hoodie in 100-degree weather doesn't mean they're about to hit a lick. And
so true, man. And that's like, what would be the difference if you had a hoodie on? You would look no different than, or you know, me. Like, I mean, maybe there comes race a little bit, right?
Not necessarily.
But you know? I feel like I would probably have a better chance of getting the benefit of the doubt, right? Let's just be realistic. Correct. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound like that.
No. I'm just saying, you know, it comes in all shapes and sizes, you know.
Because it reminds me of the whole Trayvon Martin thing. The kid just had a hoodie on. That's what when I hear the hoodie thing, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
And I just think of a young black kid walking through a neighborhood and immediately, and whether you want to talk racism and say it's how live it is or not, like reality is reality, perception is reality, you know, and that's something that, what needs to be the change? So what do y'all teach? Is it to be careful in, you know, your hoodie and backpack walking, or is it to change that? Like, what is the play on it?
It's an educational component for us because we came up with a plan on educating officers as well as our the community on the impacts that it has.
That's good.
Because just because a kid is walking down the street, again, with a hoodie on, it's 100 degrees here in Texas, that kid could be hiding from something. They could be going through a mental episode where, that hoodie's comfort. Like if you're in the gym, I know when I'm in the gym, I've got a hoodie on. Yeah. I just want to block everything out. But there are statistics have shown and experiences that when you're getting ready to do something you shouldn't, you're about to hit a lick, you want to cover your face. So putting that hoodie on can be that. Backpack, same thing. When we think of backpacks, we think of education, but there are some people, including officers, that can think of concealment.
Yeah.
Again, working undercover, I kept a backpack. Anytime I made a buy from somebody, I put dope in the backpack.
Yeah.
Anytime I did buys, I had a pistol either on me or in my backpack. And so we want to educate officers as well as kids on the stigma behind it and the common style of dress that our youth enjoy. And so it's a mental health, it's a panel, and it's evolved over the years. We have police officers, youth, mental health professionals. We've had judges, district attorneys, sheriffs, we've had convicted felons, we've had everybody because we live in this world holistically.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to educate everybody on understanding different points and views. And then we also have a firearm safe storage course that simultaneously we host for parents. We pull them to a totally separate room. Let me teach you
That's smart.
How to, we've got them there, right?
Yeah.
Let me teach you how to safely store your guns. Because again, the kid that had the gun at the school, he doesn't own that gun. He's not old enough to purchase that gun.
You're right. 9 out of 10 times that's taken from his dad's
or car that's unlocked.
Yeah. That's
and if you see kids go pulling on doorknobs, and again, only reason I know that is because being in investigations, I see it.
Yeah.
And people's surveillance cameras, kids are just trying to unlock doors, and you would be amazed how many people leave the doors unlocked with guns in there. And so we just educate the parents as well on how to store a gun. Just because a gun's on top of a cabinet does not actually mean that it's stored. Yeah. And it's the pros and cons of it. Do you want to keep a gun in your nightstand, and the chances somebody coming in your house, you want to be able to grab it and go, right? But what are the chances of somebody breaking into your house? Do you have time to put that gun in the safe? We're not telling them the right or wrong.
Yeah.
We're just giving them the options. That's good. So it's a pretty dope event. It's definitely unique. Again, I had the opportunity to take it to New Orleans.
That's cool.
To my high school, so it was an honor to go back there. And we're actually in planning that event again for 2026. And we're going to switch it up a little bit. And at the end of the event, every kid gets a brand new backpack, a brand new pair of tennis shoes, and a brand new hoodie.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I love the way you said that it's not just for the kids. You're also kind of doing some stuff like that to inform the police officers too, yes. Right? So it's like both ways. It's like, hey, let's teach you about them. Let's teach them. Because you're right, dude. In the winter, my son wears a T-shirt. In the summer, he wears a hoodie. It don't make no sense. And that's how all these kids are.
Definitely. Definitely.
Literally, we did community service the other day, cleaning up trash on the street, and I swear, 4 or 5 of the boys wore hoodies and sweatpants. It was 107 degrees.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What are y'all doing? Take that off." They're like, "No, we want to have it." I'm like, "All right, I'm not going to tell you different if that's what you want to do." Tell me about your little collaboration. It's not little at all. Tell me about your huge collaboration that you guys have had with Dak Prescott and all the stuff he does.
Yeah, so when we initially started, and I think maybe 2021, we were doing a lot of school-based programs as well as barbershop talks and beauty salon, and we even in churches and all of that. Anything that we can get the word out about who NEX is and the things that we're doing. And this was around the social justice movement after George Floyd. And Dak Prescott has a nonprofit. It's called Faith Fight Finish, which is there's different components to it and pillars, but he wanted to add a law enforcement component where he wanted to bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community. And obviously he's not a police officer, and so he was looking for someone in the community that could fill that component and help build a curriculum.
Yeah. And
so I was fortunate enough to be contacted about that through a mutual friend. and it kind of took off from there. And so we were able to help with building the curriculum, help with creating the school-based program and things like that. And we kind of just leveraged the resources. We've been fortunate enough to experience the in-kind as well as the monetary donations from the organization. So it's been good.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's something special. That's a big deal to have someone like Dak Prescott. You know what I mean?
And he's a great guy, and then people's like, hey man, can you call Dak? I don't know Dak on that kind of level. It's a business level. It's a, hey man, I appreciate you. And but it's not a personal level where, and so, but we have been able to do some things that we wouldn't have been able to do without their assistance.
That's awesome. So what's next? Like what's next for NEX? We're trying to think about like, what is your goals? Like what's coming up? What do you need like resources and help with? Stuff like that.
Yeah. So we have a school-based program still at Turning Point. We were getting a lot of different calls now. We were in Fort Worth last year, Crowley ISD, where we were just incorporating the school-based stuff, focusing on gun violence prevention, mental health. We were just in Lancaster, as Texans say, Lancaster, last week, and just continue to pour into to our community and to kids.
That's cool. Do you do it in like an assembly style type thing, or
it just depends. The gun violence stuff, we try to do it in series workshops. Yeah, because we have different topics. You can't cram it all in. You're only going to get 45 minutes for that particular day. Yeah, and so it's a series. But if there's a big group of kids, I like it, but how sustainable is it? Yeah, not very, because if you're not doing it multiple times, the impact of it doesn't always last. But I will say, every time we do assembly style, we always gain a mentee from it. That's good. Or we gain someone who can provide resources or provide some insight that we didn't have. So. Yeah. We're going to continue doing that, and maybe reaching out to a lot of the United Way campaigns and things like that are going on. So right now, our biggest push right now is focusing on our boys, or they're going back to school. Fortunate enough to have 6 or 7 young men in college. That's awesome. Some of them in trade school. Yeah. And so just the same stuff over and over.
Yeah, no, that's good. One of the hardest things that have been for me is when I've looked into any sort of like grants or any sort of like help, financial help, they always want everything to be, and it makes sense because the people that donate big money, they want to know, but how is your program measurable? Like, what are the measurable things that you're doing? And for us, I'm like, well, my biggest thing that I want is like, how many kids start and how many finish high school? Like, that's my, you know what I mean? Like, that's one that's super measurable, right? But it's really more about like, our program is more about the boys on the inside, which is so hard to measure when you're trying to like, you know what I mean? Like if you go for big grants and stuff, they want to know, well, show me, what are your measurable, like, does that make sense?
And they're looking for numbers. Yeah. And I tell everybody, we go deep instead of wide. That's good. We want to take that young man from adolescence into young adulthood. And I get it. You need numbers to do it, but again, for me, it's the Lord's been able to. We've been fortunate enough that the Lord's been able to provide for us, and how that happens, prayers, and just continue to do it. And you know what, community service is a big one too, because when people understand that you're giving back to the community and not just taking from it, they're always willing to help, and it's always in the form of in kind. And so, don't ever think that you're not making it because you don't have the tangible dollars. Yeah. But if you're going somewhere and they're giving you discounts for meals or
that's a good point.
You can go there and they feed your kids for free. That's money.
That's true.
That all that matters. Because it may not be the revenue that you want in your pocket, but it actually makes a difference.
That's a really good point, because we do have those type of things. We get done community service, we go and eat at and I just hit the place on 1187, this burger place, and they always they give you discounts on the food. There are a lot of different Myrtle's burgers, sorry. But there are a lot of different things like that. Like Sam's, if we tell Sam's, hey, we're going to do community service for blah, 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 they'll give you water and sodas or whatever. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are willing to support. You just have to, sometimes what I don't do good enough is asking for the money. It's so hard for me.
Neither do I.
It's so hard for me because I feel like I'm asking for it for myself. You know what I mean? And then I get uncomfortable and I'm like, and I back out or I don't do it. Or so sometimes I wonder if I almost need to find somebody as like that is their position on for our program is to be the person out asking. Find someone who is comfortable with asking and send them out to ask, because I'm not good at it.
Yeah, I think as we continue to do this, people understand our purpose. They understand your passion. And obviously our programs are pretty young. And people tell us that all the time, 5 years, we're 5 years in, and it's like, man, you're still new.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
People understand, like most businesses or strategic plans take 5 to 7 years.
That's so true, especially when you're working on it part-time, right?
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So there's that too. I mean, I know it's a full-time emotional thing.
It's full-time emotionally, you're right, but it's
part-time time, right?
Yes.
So it's like, that's really good. So how can anybody who's like watching any of our guests or listening or anything like that, how can they, social media pages, websites, like anything like that, and how can they support NEX if it's something that they want to do? Yeah,
like I said, social media, our website is www.nexmetropolitan.org, and NEX is NEX. There's no T on it. Social media sites are the same thing. And we have a PayPal and all of that.
Is that on the website?
Yes, everything's on the website. Everything you need is on our website. And really, even if you don't have the financial means, come out and support. Come out and volunteer. That goes a long way for us. And anything else, if you see us out in the community, even if you know a kid that needs some help, spread the word. We'll be happy to take that kid on and things like that. And I'm hoping eventually the kids will take over the program.
Wouldn't that be cool? You have like a kid that goes through it and then comes back and wants to actually lead the program.
Yes.
I think about that all the time. Like my vision is, one thing that I love that you do, and we do the same thing, and I don't know if we had ever even talked about this, but a lot of these programs like this, right? When a kid turns 18, that kid is cut off because their funding is for like high school age kids, right? And that's something that we don't do. I've got kids now that are 21, 22 years old. They might not get all the perks, like as far as like I might not buy them all their school shoes because they should be working and making their own school shoes by now. But they're still, I tell them about the events, they're still plugged in, we still do our goal setting with them, we still check on them. So it's like, because sometimes that 18 to 22 is almost as hard, if not harder, than 14 to 18.
Correct, because you're trying to find yourself.
Yeah. So that's something that I love that you guys do, and we do the same thing. Is just like we're not ever just going to be like, oh, you're 18, peace, go figure it out. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of stuck with us.
Definitely trying to find. Again, that was me.
Yeah,
I was that kid. Late bloomer.
Man, well, thank you so much.
Definitely
for doing this with me, man. Like I know we've been trying to do this for a long time. One question that I want to ask you, and I should have prepped you on this one. So if you take a second, if you want to think about it, is what is one thing, and of all that you've learned in all your life experiences, that you wish little Robert at 16, 15 years old would have known?
I would have known to just take my time. Not to be so hard on myself. I wish I would have known the ups and downs, of life. And
that's just kind of how it flows.
Yeah, just the ebb and flows of life. And honestly, I would have told myself to be patient. Be patient and that you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to continue making mistakes, but not to allow it to define who you are.
That's so good. That's one of the best ones we've had.
And I've let that. Me personally. I've allowed that even in a marriage, just being able to not understand some things and to learn to overcome them. So that's what, that would probably be the biggest.
That's great. That's awesome. Man, thank you so much, Robert. I really appreciate your time. If you guys, www.nexmetropolitan.org, check it out, man. Just show some love if you're able to. But wherever you guys are watching from, remember that you're loved and you're forgiven and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.